We're recording.
All right.
Oh, I don't know if you can read this. Did I give you one that had a good one on here? Yeah, there it is. No.
Good afternoon. We now call this January meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to order. Roll call, please. Here.
Tim Boyd.
Here.
Sally Johns.
Here.
Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
And myself.
Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept them?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Do we have a staff report?
This being our first meeting of the year, our first order of business will be election of officers. And then we'll go over the packet I've given you, and what that is initial application.
Ma'am, Maria, don't do that.
It's
And-
your name.
Don't do that.
Wrong name.
Don't do that.
I've got an initial application, an administrative denial, and then we'll move forward from there.
Do we have new business?
Our election of officers.
All right. Do we have a nomination for chairperson?
I nominate Gail Stevens.
I need a second on that.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Gail Stevens is chair. Nomination for vice chair. I nominate Tim Denning.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Tim Denning is vice chair. We have a nomination for secretary. I nominate Sally Johns.
Second.
Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay, Sally Johns will be secretary. All right, Dell will deliver a status update on the La Rosa property at 130 Short Street.
Thank you very much. And we have here with us Morgan Hedrick representing the City Code Enforcement Department. And we also have Mitchell Kniga representing Indiana's Historic Preservation Commission. And we've got the La Rosa family. So thank you everyone for being here. Obviously, this property is the former post office, so a wonderful building, really in the heart of our entertainment development district. So world of potential at that building, and all we want to do is kind of realize that potential together. We are here essentially because we have some procedure. We have a procedure that's been going on. You're good, Tim. You're fine, no problem. So we've got a process that's been happening in Lawrenceburg City Court where the post office, because it's been unoccupied for a long time, we've been working through just what they need to do to get it up to snuff, which they want the same thing we do. And the caveat, of course, is that it's a historically protected property. And we have a bit of an unusual situation because we have to satisfy not just us as the local Historic Preservation Commission, but also the state of Indiana's Historic Preservation Commission. And the primary reason for that is because when this property was transferred to the La Rosas, it was done so by virtue of a historic entity that no longer exists. That entity was dissolved after the transfer, but the historic protection easements then transferred to the state. So now we have at a state level, Mr. Kniga working with the State Historic Preservation Commission to make sure that this property, anything that's done to this property conforms to their wishes, which is a similar process that we went through with the row house right next to the stage. So Mr. Kniga and his office and that entity was directly involved. They came down, they said, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. And then we gave them plans. They said, change this to that, with the same goal and intention that you folks have, which is we want to maintain the fundamental character of these properties. And you have a hard job. Mitchell has a hard job because to maintain the fundamental character, and Morgan and John have a hard job, to maintain the fundamental historic character of these buildings, we all agree is probably our greatest asset in Lawrenceburg, or one of them certainly, is these beautiful historic buildings that have survived floods, survived time, have survived. You know, we're a 250-year-old country this year, and the city of Lawrenceburg has done a tremendous job with that. You can drive through our downtown, you can see beautiful historic buildings, but that's only because of people like Indiana's Historic Preservation Commission and you folks and the people that sat in your chairs before you. So when we tell the public and we tell business property owners, hey, you know, what's a fundamental precept of being an American? Well, if I own property, I'll do whatever I want with it. Yes. However, it has to conform to standards that have been accepted and adopted by our legislature on a federal, state, or local level, that are not intended to remove the landowner's enjoyment, but instead to preserve the enjoyment of the community. And so we all kind of own these properties in a way. So we always find a way to thread that needle. We always find a way to satisfy the state and the local Historic Preservation Commission and satisfy Morgan. We just want a building that's safe for the public to enter and can be maintained and even modified, but in a way that keeps that historic character. So to me, it's never this person versus this person or the city versus the property owner. We're all rowing the same boat in the same direction. So what we'll be presented with today is where the La Rosas are with the state. Once they've completely satisfied the state's requirements, then the external facade renovation concepts will come to this board, and then you can weigh in on those. You can accept them, reject them, modify them. And the reason Morgan's here is because during this process, the La Rosa family can and needs to comply with his directives and the directives of the judge, but do it in a way that does not interfere with any of the historic character or the external. So it is hard. We're asking, Mrs. La Rosa, we're asking you to do a difficult thing, and we appreciate you being here for that. So in essence, long-winded lawyer speech short, you can do whatever you need to do and want to do and whatever you're ordered to do, so long as it doesn't step on the toes of anything Mr. Kaniga has purview over or this board will eventually have purview over. So John, I'll kind of leave it up to you as to who needs to talk next and kind of present the parameters of what needs to be done versus what can and can't be done. And then eventually, like I said, it'll come back to this board for final facade approval.
Right, and what we've got is, we just discovered, I guess Mr. Rosa discovered that the board that held the historic facade easement on her property had dissolved, and those were then adopted by HLFI Mitchell.
Yes, sir.
So Mitchell's going to be the review board over that. And I guess if you would you just, would you mind stepping to the podium? And
Not at all, just a few things I want to clarify. I didn't know if I should wait until the public input portion of tonight's meeting or not.
You're more than the public. You're
More than, oh, no,
here, so
not at all.
Thank you for driving down here. We
Mitchell
appreciate
has
it.
to give any approvals before we can give approvals.
Yes, thank you. So I want to clarify a few things just for the meeting minutes and for the public record of tonight's meeting. I do not stand with the state of Indiana or anything to do with the State Historic Preservation Office. I want to be very clear that I do not represent them. What I do represent is Indiana Landmarks, a private nonprofit 501c3 headquartered out of Indianapolis with 9 offices throughout the state, my own here in the southeast included. So I operate out of Aurora, and I cover 6 counties for them, including covenant and easement enforcement concerning those 6 counties, Dearborn and the city of Lawrenceburg included. And so what we oversee are essentially the enforcement concerns or the compliance concerns of those covenants and easements. Again, just my take is those 6 counties. Prior to Indiana Landmarks, we were known as Historic Landmarks Foundation of Indiana, so that's the HLFI moniker that John used momentarily. And here in Dearborn County specifically, as Dell alluded to, was the Dearborn County Trust for Historic Preservation, which was created, I believe, in 1998, dissolved in about 2001 or 2002, had in the course of its operating received the donation of 1 or 2 easements here within the city, which upon their dissolution became our covenants or easements. And so we have been enforcing those and are overseeing those as these exterior and interior scopes are proposed and hopefully carried out. As Dell said, we do not seek to step on toes or really cause anybody any, true headaches. We are here simply to make sure that the historic integrity of the structure, both interior and exterior, is maintained. And as you might well be wondering, the question always is, well, how do you make sure that that you are maintaining them? Isn't that a little subjective? And what do you use as the standard bearer for that? Largely, we'll use both the requirements of local commissions, such as yourself, but even more broadly, we'll use regulations and guidelines all the way up to the federal level. Again, as Dell mentioned, all the way up to the Secretary of the Interior's office and the Secretary of the Interior's rehabilitation guidelines. They are one of a 4-part series that the National Park Service oversees and last revised in 2017. And so my review, as Ms. LaRosa has been providing me with, detailed scopes and proposals for work and different things, I'm going back to those guidelines and to best practices nationwide and reviewing them to make sure that they're within compliance. So again, I know that's a bit long-winded, but I just want to make sure that that was cleared and on the record.
So clearly they didn't send you up to Washington, D.C. when they're doing the East Wing renovations.
No comment. So just again, to clarify that tonight, I'm happy to provide any insight as it pertains to the particular scopes or concerns ongoing at current.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I guess, Mitchell, thank you for that. Obviously, there's an interplay here between what Morgan is trying to achieve and what Ms. LaRosa is trying to achieve and where you sit. What is your best, I guess, statement or explanation as far as, because we just want to make it clear what she can do and can't do.
Absolutely.
From your perspective.
So I've been communicating with Ms. LaRosa over the last, I think it's been going back about 3 months now, maybe 2.5 months, going back and forth on proposed scopes, what's included in them, what portions of the building it will affect and such. And so we have identified no less than 10 scopes that are ongoing. And then I told Ms. LaRosa very early on, did I not? I said, get all you can together, send everything over to me at once. Just makes it easier if we can look at this in the broadest of terms instead of going scope by scope. And so there were various additions, there were various refinishings, add-ons, accoutrement to the building that were looked at. The first of those scopes was the addition of some black marble beneath the lamppost bases that were on the structure. That was found through the guidelines to be a reduction of integrity to the structure. They are not an original feature and should not therefore be added. That was denied outright. There were 2 scopes for paint, both on those posts and on the flagpole. Those were scopes 2 and 9. In my latest letter to Ms. LaRosa, dated December 12th and sent out via certified mail, spec sheets for those paints were requested. I believe that's part of what she sent me just this afternoon. Understandably, I've not had a moment to take a look at those and provide any comment. Number 3 of those scopes was tinting of those exterior windows with a tint, again, the specification sheet of which was needed. I do believe Sinorama is to carry that out. Is that correct? Okay, perfect, and that's been supplied as of this afternoon. Number 4 regarded some landscaping changes, primarily a monotonous pour across the front of the, monolithic pour across the south elevation of the structure. That scope was outright denied as it does, it's not reversible. Instead, I have suggested that that possibly be paved with permeable or even donor pavers. Again, a reversible feature that would accomplish the same thing. And I had asked for some comment on that. Number 5 was replacement of the fence inserts that we see in the chain link along there. Those had begun to, I think they were originally installed by the Postal Service. They had begun to degrade, to fall apart. The wind sure had taken some. And so a replacement was sought and approved for those. So that scope has been approved as of my writing on the 12th. As well, some repairs to the concrete steps on the exterior that were needed. Scope 6 were approved as well. And as well scope number 8, which was for an asphalt ceiling of the existing driveway without change to the footprint of the driveway. That scope was also approved. That leaves scopes 7 and 10, 7 referring to some awnings in addition that Ms. LaRosa wished to put on the structure. Those awnings were also found via the guidelines to be non-compliant for the style and age of the structure. And then finally, there were some screws, I believe, used to refasten metal flashing that had been applied to the parapet of that building on its roof. And I had asked for a specification sheet on those screws as well. Again, still forthcoming. Okay, supposedly supplied today, so haven't taken a look. So again, just to reiterate, of those 10, scope 1 denied, scope 2, a specs sheet is needed for that paint. The tent on number 3 is still under review. Number 4 under review. Number 5 was approved. 6 approved. 7 denied. 8 approved. 9, a specification sheet for the refinishing of the lettering that was on the structure was also needed. And then number 10, that hardware, those screws will also need a specification sheet for as well. So we're about halfway to getting full approval or full comment.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you. And then,
Thank you.
Mitchell, just 1 second. So,
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Hedrick, do you, and you guys are in touch with each other, is that fair?
I have not received an email from Mr. Hedrick's office regarding this concern. My primary contact with the city thus far has been John Johnson.
John, okay.
where
We
that's
will
popped up.
be communicating from here on out there.
Well, and I think the way that I look at it, just to make it easiest for the LaRosas and expedite this as best we can, is essentially what we don't want is for, say, Morgan to be patrolling the city as his duty is and see window tint to go up. I want him to be able to say, oh, okay, I can reference
This was-
Mr. Kniga's
sure.
letter. I can see that this was either approved or not approved, and that way he can take action quickly, he and John together. Do you guys feel comfortable with that process? And
That's
then,
what we do now anyway.
Yeah.
perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
And even Mr. Kniga's approval won't supersede our historic approval here.
Sure, but that would be after he's done.
Right. Yeah, that's after
Yes.
yours is complete.
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
Full approval goes to the most local level, so full approval, you guys would have those contents. Ms. LaRosa would provide those to you at the time of final approval. It would go before your commission with all the things I've supplied and comments I've provided, and for your full review and final approval.
Perfect.
That's correct.
And then, Mr. Hedrick, as far as the things that you're concerned with, which are, mostly structural, not beautification, what are the things that the LaRosas should be doing to the property according to your process? And do you view any of those as being prohibited by Mr. Kniga's process? And how can we work together? What can she be doing right now?
Okay, so just a quick roadmap for the board to understand how we got here. This has been an ongoing issue now for about 3 years. I've cited the LaRosas in the court several times and the building has been found to be unsafe. So Judge Johns has found the building as an unsafe structure for various reasons that I've documented in my reports. I've done inspections over there. I've had the county building inspector come over. I've had structural engineers come over. We've went through that building and identified things that have to be fixed in order for them to get a certificate of occupancy, which is, on my end, the certificate of occupancy, to go to what Dell's specifically asking me, is a very important thing, because that shows that all of the violations that are unsafe have been remedied. And to this point, that has not happened. So we still have several things that are going on with the building that are considered unsafe. Under the Title 36, under the unsafe statute, the state of Indiana. And there's probably some environmental stuff going on in there still. I haven't been in there for over a year, but there were environmental, so it would be not only unsafe under the unsafe building law, but it'll be also unfit for human habitation at that point. And
So
I don't know that that's been remedied yet or not, because we haven't been requested to come in and inspect to show that those problems have been fixed.
Because that would be part of the certificate of occupancy process.
Yes.
Once it's ready. And so I guess my main question is, let's say, and I've got my historic hat on, our historic hat is, well, if she's got to fix a boiler in the basement, we don't really care about that, right? So, but I also don't want, I want Ms. LaRosa to be clear that she can fix the boiler in the basement. And that's not even something that Mr. Kniga would weigh in on, or we would eventually weigh in on.
Right.
Is that, or do you feel comfortable with that process, communicating that to
Right.
her?
It's to a point, and that would be the next point that I would make is, so through this, me going and looking at that building and assessing what's going on with the building, I started noticing, the windows were broken out, so the windows need to be fixed. Well, then I would talk to John, and John was like, they can't just throw any window in there. That has to go through a historical preservation process to be able to get approved to put the windows in. We have sandstone or limestone coping that is the original coping that is very old, that is disintegrating and falling off the building, which is causing fall hazards for the public that was identified. And it's like, well, you have to fix that. You have to fix the concrete. But everything that I was talking about that had to be fixed that fall under the unsafe building statutes, for them to get it fixed correctly, they have to go through now landmarks and you guys, historic preservation. And we kept running into this. We kept running into this. So hopefully we've got this streamlined now, and that we have a good solid process for Ms. LaRosa to follow, and she doesn't throw up tent that's not appropriate, or throw a window in that's not appropriate, or have somebody do work to the building that is not appropriate work to do that building under the Historic Preservation Commission. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And then the other side of that is, on the inside of the building, we still have an unsafe building that hasn't been remedied. So in order for that building to go on, it needs a certificate of occupancy, and that will not be issued until everything is fixed and we have the building commissioners or the building inspector and myself go over and say, hey, all of these things are fixed now. So that's
and to be, so you feel comfortable to the extent where, because we want to be fair to Mrs. LaRosa, where you are basically saying this, but I'm paraphrasing back to you. You're not going to say, hey, you got to replace those windows, because you understand that that's got to go through Mitchell first,
Yes.
then this board. But the other things that don't have anything to do with Mr. Kniga or this board, she can work on. And we want to be fair and not confuse her and not have her be getting two different sets of orders from two different people.
Yes.
That's why I appreciate everyone being together, and it sounds like we have that process, so everyone feels good.
Yeah, we definitely have the process now. I mean,
Okay.
obviously.
John, you feel good about it too?
Yes.
Yeah, we had the point of contention was, I'm asking them to fix things, and they're trying to go through a process that they can't go through because the previous board that would give the permission to be able to do that is dissolved.
Yeah.
So
And
I think we've remedied that
hurdle
now.
to clear, and we got that. That's
Yes.
amazing. Thank you. Okay. And I think that, Mrs. Chairman, I think that for today's meeting, it's really informational. We're not going to be able to take any official action until Indiana Landmarks has finished their process. But I do really value this time together, because a lot of moving parts, but again, we're all looking for the same thing. I'm looking for the day when I can walk into that building and have a soda pop, and it's going to be awesome, because that's such a great space. So thank you to the LaRosa family for everything you're doing for that property.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Dell.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your input and the information. Is there any old business?
I have none.
No old business. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
I'll make it a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second? A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are now adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
That's
Year.
right. Happy springtime.
I got plans, I can work. Could be.